Welcome back to part 4 on how to make maple syrup. We have about 3 inches, maybe 2.5 inches of sap left, and as you can see it's really dark. What we're going to do is we're going to boil this down, but you need to know when it's done. And how do you know when it's done? Is they sell these refractometers or hydrometers, and it tells you the sugar percentage in your maple syrup. Now, to be maple syrup and to be shelf stable, it has to be at 66%. And the only way that you can really tell that is by testing it. The old timers would take a ladle and they would dip it in, and when they pour it out, if it made like a sheet, they call it sheeting, then they know it would be done. The first year that we did it, we didn't have a refractometer or hydrometer, and these are pretty cheap online. I think I paid like 18 bucks for that. What we did is we put a plate in the freezer and we would dip out as it gets lower and lower, and as it got thicker and thicker, we just guessed. I ended up taking it out to the extension agent, a little sample, and have it tested, and it was at like 78% sugar, so we overboiled it. And it's okay to overboil it, it just gets thicker and it makes it sweeter. If you underboil it and it's above 66%, it's still good. You just have to keep it refrigerated, or after you can it, once you open the can, you'll have to keep it refrigerated. So I'm gonna go ahead and calibrate my refractometer. Okay, I'm gonna attempt to show you what the refractometer looks like. As you can see, it's at 71%, and that's what it should be calibrated with on olive oil. One thing that I do want to mention is once you transition from outside to inside, you need to stay with it the entire time, because it'll boil down. It'll take it a while once you get it inside, depending on how far you let it go outside, but once it gets to a certain point, it goes really fast, so you got to be right on top of it. So if you walk out of the room for 15 minutes and come back, a lot of times it's already candy. If you overboil it, as long as you don't burn it, you can add water, or even better, sap. If you have any more sap, add sap to it to thin it out, and then boil it back down again. Okay, I just checked it, and we're at about 60%, so it's going to jump up really fast from 60 to 66. And I'm going to try to get this on camera to show you kind of what to look for, but you'll hear it boil, and then all of a sudden it'll go quiet. It'll still be boiling, but it'll go quiet, and it'll foam up really fast and like really frothy. And that's when you know that it's ready to be checked. Now here in a second, you won't hear it boil anymore, and it'll start to foam up. See how you can't hear it boil? That's when you know to go ahead and take it off the heat. And as you can see, it's boiling up to the top. And I'd say right now we're right at 66, or maybe even over. So I'll go ahead and let it settle down, let it cool down, and check it again. Okay, as you can see, we're at 66% sugar. So it's time to pull it off and start the canning process. Okay, you can these just like you would can anything else. It's good to have a funnel. I just ladle it in. I leave about a ½ inch headspace. Clean the tops. Your jars are sterilized. Your lids are sterilized. You put them on hand tight, and where it's at 66% sugar, you can just leave it like this. It'll seal up. It'll be fine. I go ahead and water bath can it for about 15 minutes on a rolling boil, just to make sure they seal good. And if for some reason it's not at 66% sugar, it's a little lower, it'll be sterilized and it'll seal up and it'll stay on the shelf without going bad. Now, with that being said, we started out with 22 to 25 gallons of sap. I boiled it down for about 27 hours. And I used a little over a tank of propane, a 20-pound tank of propane. And we ended up with about 1 quart and 3/4 of a pint of maple syrup. This is maple and walnut mixed. It's not straight maple, it's maple and walnut. And as you can see, it's a little bit darker than what regular maple syrup is. And I'm going to go ahead and water bath can these for 15 minutes. And I'm not going to show that process. You just put it in boiling water for 15 minutes at a rolling boil. You pull it out, and then it's sealed good. So hope you all enjoyed this. I'm going to try to do some more videos like this. If you like it, go ahead and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.